Hello everyone, it is Christine here and I am back to share progress on my Roxy's Journal of Stitchery trifold fabric pouch with 2 pockets. So since the last episode I have finished pinning down and then stitching down with invisible stitch my fabrics for the outer cover, but we'll come back and have a look at that in the moment, as well as stitching down and doing some thread painting on my inside, which I'll show you in a moment as well. So this is what the front, I guess, which is where the flap will fold down. It's probably the way I'm going to display it because I absolutely love this fabric of the gardens. Like, they remind me of Versailles. And then it's got this lovely little scene down here as well that I just absolutely adore, with a castle and a little man and lady. And then it opens up to be this beautiful flower scene. So that's that side of it. And we'll take a look inside in a moment. And then here's the back of it. And this is where I'll probably do a fair bit of embellishment. So I've kept it relatively, like, it looks quite sort of, I guess, yeah, blocky at the moment, and really wanting to have some embellishments that kind of intersperse the the elements together. Most of it has just been invisible stitched down. I did some decorative little crosses because I wanted to hold this piece of fabric particularly flat down against the fabric, but not have sort of visible little invisible stitches. So I did some visible crosses instead. I'll just bring it up so you can see those little crosses, because they're just a nice way to to anchor down fabrics. And I was really happy I was able to position this little bit of fabric. So I've got my little rabbits and some little toadstools showing. So that's the back again, and this is what I'm calling the front, although normally the envelope, this would be the back of the envelope, but I'm going to call it the front of my piece. So yeah, I've got that there, and then it opens up, and inside there is a pocket here, and you can see the flower picture going all the way down to the bottom. And what you can see I've done now is done some thread painting of this particular rose, and I was thinking we can do some work, and we probably won't get it all finished, but we can do some work together on thread painting of this rose. I think I'm going to leave this rose just plain, but I thought these two could be thread painted. And then it's also got the addition of a second fully lined pocket as well. I think ultimately I will probably do some cantha stitching across this inner pocket, but I don't want to cantha stitch because I don't want to go across these images, but I will probably do some stitching into the leaves. But I thought first of all I'll work out my embellishments, and then I'll work out where I actually want to do that detailed stitching. Otherwise I could do a whole lot of detailed stitching that then gets covered up by the embellishments. So that is the progress so far. So what we might do is get our embellishments down and start pinning those on just to this outer section. So I will take it apart now that you've seen it. I don't know if you can hear in the distance, there is a Mr. Whippy van, which in here in Australia they sell ice creams, little soft serves, and it's playing a song that used to be on my little jewelry box when I was a child. So it's a very nostalgic song. I'll see if it ends up coming by. I can hear someone walking by outside. It's probably a good evening for it because it's not too hot, but it's quite humid. So yeah, that's what the piece looks like when it's all unpinned. So it's amazing how it sort of all comes together, but I just love the way that it formulates up, and then once you fold it you get something that just looks really lovely, I think. So let's move our rose piece out of the way, and let's maybe, wondering which side, let's start with this side and have a think about what embellishments we want to add. So I just put some embellishments on a tray. I'm going to see if I can sort of fit them together in shot, and then I will work with you to work out what we might start to put places. So I do love this little tree. In fact, before we do that, I think I might find these two pieces because I want to put both of these, I think, on, and again just checking I am actually on camera, yes. So I think there's a Travis here as well. Thinking I would like to have this trim sitting and hanging off and running along here. I think I would like that. Now which way is the front and the back? Nope, that is the front. The good thing is even when it sort of flips up like this, I think it's still going to look just as nice on the back as on the front. So I think that will be fine. So probably, yeah, I can just cut it here. If I wanted to have the back and the front the same, I could double it over, but I don't want to use that much of it, I don't think. And I think it will be fine just as it is. So let's start by pinning. Let's start by pinning that in place. You know I don't love my pins, but sometimes they're a necessary evil. Now I want to have them up at least probably, I think I'll have to have this little row of dots along where the actual fabric is, just to give it a nice strong place to anchor onto. My other tip when you're assembling your envelopes is give your fabrics an iron before you start stitching them down. It just makes it so much easier. Actually, I can probably use my little friendly quilt clips which don't stab me at either end. Need to put a pin in for here, and so this will be obviously sandwiched together with the inner layer where I've got that rose. So yeah, we won't be able to see once we've stitched it down. Just checking again that I had the correct side. It is actually a little bit tricky to see at times which one the correct size is. So something like that I think will be really, I think that will be lovely. Usually need to not have the ends all trickled in. Oops. Just flick it over for now. And then I was also thinking I would have this little one, which is a beautiful little doily, quite worn. On there, so I probably should have actually not put that pin in yet because I was thinking this would be my little name plate for the envelope, so I want to probably space it so it's exactly in the middle. So in fact I might just pop that on with a clip, although I could use the pin because I'm going to have to pin this down anyway, the fabric. So I hope you're having a great day. I hope if you're doing this project you're having a lovely time, or even if you haven't started yet, you can absolutely join. So yeah, I think that will be really lovely once it's all straightly stitched on, obviously. And then I have this little tree and I was just wondering where I want to put it. I don't want to add too much in here, so I think maybe just some more subtle beading or something in there. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'll do some thread and seed stitching to just embellish the piece, maybe some stitching into the leaves and some stitching into the little trees, I think, and maybe some little seed stitches around there. So yeah, I don't think this will go on here on this side, but let's turn it over and have a look. This one's a simpler fabric, so it could even go up there. if I put it the right way, is obviously even better than looking at the back of it. Let's just make sure we are on frame, yes. So that could be really beautiful there, I think. Just have to carefully pierce it because I don't want to damage it. So I might sort of angle it so it comes down and almost looks like it's part of this design. And I'll probably just do some little stitches around the outside, little visible stitches. With this down here, I'm wanting to probably put a lace or something over it. I was thinking I've got these beautiful little laces that I showed in the other video where I was starting work on this piece. And I love that because they're sort of on, this one's on almost a stretchy sort of like tulle. I'll be able to sort of stretch it across this section and it will just sort of meld all the different bits of fabric together. So that could be lovely. Have it coming down here or have it more up there or more across there. I think something like that. We'll just get a pin down for now. It doesn't mean we have to totally commit to that as a positioning. It's just getting some things down. I've got this lovely trim that has greens and pinks in it, so it would be nice to use a little bit of this on something, but we might come back to that. I've got this one which would be good because I can then sort of introduce in, this is sort of that similar colour, a bit of that colour. And even this piece has a bit of that tonage, so that might end up going somewhere. I'm thinking the button, probably the gold button because it's got little roses on it. That's what I'm thinking I'll put on here to be the closure on it. So I'll just put that aside for now, but remember that. I've got some other lovely trim. So I'd pick a section that just has the sort of the white through to the pink flowers. Would that be too much if I sort of had that coming down there? I think it almost separates it a little bit too strongly. And I have to remember as well here I'm going to have this beautiful floral cutout lace. A little bit of it there could be quite nice. Let's take a little section that we know we want. Put that aside for another project. And sometimes it's nice to extend these little elements across multiple pieces rather than, for example, just having it go just for that length. So that's just a little tip. Just sort of draws the eye across that way. Take it just with a little bit extra. And we might just pin that there for now. Okay. So back to the back. Some of this fabric which is rather lovely too, and I'm thinking that could be kind of just add a little bit of texture or something across, but not yet sure exactly where that will go. Let's have a look at some of our other little beaded pieces. I'm going to have to do some extra stitches just to make sure the beads hold. Something like that could be lovely, but I'm thinking I still want something else to sort of soften the area. I definitely want sort of layers with this piece. So something like this could be lovely for part of it. quite like that looking through fabric or looking through lace to see something underneath. So I'll come back to that one. I wanted something a bit larger, but it's lovely and soft, which is the other thing I want to keep. I don't want to have anything too beaded, I don't think. I could even put my own little button in. It looks like it originally had something in the centre there, but it may have come out. I do like that actually, because it just softens this piece, but I liked this piece because it echoed the green that I've got in this piece here. So that's why I selected it. Would I want that to sort of go on a little angle? I think I would. Now I'm wondering about this piece. Maybe this piece will go down here or something. I'm just going to take that off for a moment because this is just making me sort of rethink how I want this section to go. I think it goes best that way. Even use one of my little Suffolk puffs in the centre. It'd be probably too big. I think I'll probably use a button or something there, or I could even fussy cut out one of these little ones and have that into the centre also, because there's quite a few on these little bits of lace. I could even have one of these little ones. That would work quite well actually. Have I got a little stray one somewhere else? No, that one looks pretty stray. Okay, so do I want this one something like that? We'll pop it on for now and we shall see. Okay. Managed to pin through both layers there. I was wondering why is it sort of sitting peculiarly. That's opening up again. So I would need to put little stitches in to make sure that stayed down. And then I've got other little, this one's still got a lovely piece of ribbon attached to it, so I'm actually going to just take that piece of ribbon off and keep that for another day. I've got this little ribbon ribbon rose. That could be nice to add. Just do a little shape around that, I think, like this. Again, I can probably even cut that out a little bit more finely, I think. Probably usually best to do these things close to when you're going to stitch it down, so that might be one of the early things I stitched down. Just to avoid the fraying of the edges and things. Something like that could just meld in somewhere like that, or on a little corner across. That could be lovely too. Just try and catch a single layer of the fabric, not both. Just check I'm still in frame, yes. Got some lovely ribbons, so I can do some ribbon embroidery myself as well. Got this little bit of edging which would have probably come off a dress or something I had in a box of random laces. I'm not sure about that one. I was thinking this little natural coloured ribbon trim. Could be nice. Maybe somewhere across there. Because it sort of draws some of the colours from that piece in. So again, let's just pop that there for now. We'll probably have it tucked under that other piece, I think. Some larger pieces, but again I can just nibble out some components thereof, like, let's just do it while we're here. Got to be bold. So it's great if you can get some of these little remnants of what would have been probably, this one looks like it might have even been stitched onto something, so it could have even come off a dress, although I've also got ones from the lovely Anna in Melbourne who yeah, is a bridal dress designer but then sells lovely little remnant boxes. And we're just having a look on this side as well. I had said I didn't want to go too bold, but I did also say that I'd probably like something that's just kind of, oh, maybe I can have this one go over the fold. Which way up would it be best? This, oh, I do like that one. It's sort of got the two little spokes. Let's try that. Okay. And then if we bring it over this way, we probably need to move this one a little bit. Then it's kind of nice, it unifies those two sides, brings them together, and then maybe this one can actually come up here. What did I do with the pin? Who knows, Christine? Who knows what you did with the pin? So it is just about keeping on working with your design. You don't have to be stuck in how you originally place things. Just keep playing till you're happy with it. Let's put another little pin in, just to be sure. Now this one, just wondering how I want this one to be. I think it almost goes better that way because I think it's almost like a little stems on a flower sort of thing. So I'll leave it there for now. Although who knows? Who knows? So I've used that one. Got lots of lovely ones. I could also have something more ornate come all the way up here. Where would I nibble this one off to? Could sort of go just up to here. How would we feel about that? It's soft, which is good. But then I kind of lose a bit of my passion. I think maybe that's a little bit too much of it. Got some other sweet little trims. I do like this one, a beautiful cotton crochet edging. Again, I wonder how would it go if we had it overlapping over the fold. Because again, that just helps to sort of strengthen the fold too. And they look like little flowers. I quite like that actually. I'll take it with one extra just in case I need a bit more. Hoping you can see that down there. I think you can. So just going to have it going over the fold. Let's turn it over. I like how it sort of echoes the the other design that can sit under there. It's lovely actually. It's like a little fence or something. I did say I was going to go all out with the embellishment, although it's hard because I just love I love how the fabrics have ended up, so I don't have to go crazy, but it's nice to add some of these pretty bits on. Then you get to actually use what you receive, what you get, what you find. Okay. And you can always sort of tone it down as you start to put it together. If you've gone too crazy with the embellishment, you don't have to stick with it. But just have a play. Playing is always good. And this one, I was wondering where we might put this one. So I did want to bring in some of the greens and just link that across this piece. Thinking it could work there. Do I need a slightly longer piece that might come across and end under there? Piece like that maybe. It could even sit a bit lower possibly if I move this. I don't want to cover up that rose there. I think that could be nice. Where have my scissors disappeared to in my pile here? Can you see my scissors? I'm sure I saw them. Oh, there they are. They're hiding in the pile. Okay, cut it off about there. And we'll pop a needle in, not a needle, a pin like that and a pin like that. Okay, let's go have a look at some of our vintage Suffolk puffs. So I thought that little green could be good. And again, these are great for putting little buttons that have the pokey out bits at the back, which I have clean forgotten out of my mind what they're called. It will come to me in a moment. No, it's not coming to me in a moment. My brain has gone dead. I had a 0 alcoholic beer with dinner, but it's made me feel a little bit floopy. Because unfortunately I can't drink alcohol. I get a horrible reaction to sulfites and alcohol. So we thought we'd try the 0 alcohol beers and see if they work, but let's maybe go shank. That's what I was thinking of for the button, shank. Eventually the word comes. I know other video makers find that when they're doing their videos, the words just evaporate on us. So I'll pull out the little bits of thread that these were tied on with. I just love how worn they are. They are fabulous. So again, these can be good just to sort of integrate at some of the junction points. But I think I'd use something different there because I don't need the sort of the green on green, although it could be nice. And then maybe if I had some sort of pinky button, or maybe I'll have a collection of a pink and a green here. Is that going to be too bright of a pink? That one's probably a better pink. Unless I've got a patterned pink that I want to use. Let me grab a few jars of these. That one's a pattern pink, but it's got some blues in it, which I don't really want. That one's quite nice. It's very worn. It's got little lovely characters on it. A little boy with a dog. I think I want to use that one that way up. Must have been a kid's quilt, I think, because it's got all little sweet designs on it. Let's have a look. I've got another pile in here as well. I think this might be from the same quilt actually. It's probably none from there. It's just whether I take that one or take one of the other pinks. That's too orangey pink. Or do I take this really lovely muted one? Ooh, that one's, and it's a really interesting texture actually. So now I've lost my little scissors. Just trimming it. Okay, and the final side. They were stitched with very sort of thick thread, but I guess that's what they probably had at this time. I think Melanie, purveyor of Reclaim Textiles, who I got these from, I think that she gets them from her brother in America. So we don't tend to have a tradition of making these yo-yo quilts here in Australia, I don't think. And then maybe a button or something, because it's not usually nice to do things in threes. So I'll put that on for now, and then I'll ponder how that all sort of comes together. Let me just get both of them pinned in with the one pin. Let's keep having a look. I've also got some of these little pieces, but I think they're a bit too intense in colour. Got this one, which is it's a bit blingy. It is rather nice. It definitely is in the colour scheme. But no, I think it's a bit bright. I've also got this little ribbon trim with little flowers on it. Got this one off a little Kath Holden fabric. Little reward of merit. But no, I think that's a bit too colourful as well. So we're just discounting things on colour. Oh, I've got another little ribbon rose. So that one could be nice to cut out as well. Looks like it's sort of stitched down, so I'll leave that for now, but I'm thinking maybe there or maybe on the front somewhere. I'll just pop it here and we'll come back to how it might sort of join the piece later, or when I'm stitching it down. Now we still haven't placed this sweet little piece. As I say, I want to, ouch, Or I knew that was going to happen at some point in this episode, that I would prick my finger. Always happens. Don't want to get blood on the piece. So no, I don't think this goes on this side. So we'll just carefully turn ourselves over again. Do we maybe take this one off? Because maybe it will be enough to have this one kind of being a real centerpiece here, and we can do some other beading around it. So do we maybe, does that go somewhere here, or does it maybe go on something else on another day? I'm just having a look through my laces. This I'm thinking I will do some thread painting on, I think, at least maybe with a fine, like when I do my cotton thread painting, which you might have seen in some of my other videos. So I'm just wondering what it is I might pop down here. Just something so that we're kind of getting that effect of looking through lace at what's underneath. Could even cut around this sort of lace motif and leave a bit of a border and then stitch it down. It does go beautifully with this particular fabric piece. It actually integrates really well with this very worn Suffolk puff. So yeah, I think I like that. So what I'm going to do for now is I'll just cut around. I'll leave the little frondy bit on because we may even overlap that onto the front of the envelope, because that's the option as well. You can do some stitching at the end, for example, and have some of this come over if you wanted to. I like that, but we'll decide that later. I guess we have to decide it before we sew the envelope together, because otherwise you might be tucking it under or cutting around it. So I will just for now pin that in place, and it can even sit a bit further over if we want this main design to sort of be up a bit more like that, which I think I would. Just pin that for now. That would sit under there, I guess. And then I'm thinking I may need to put some sort of lace, transparency, lacy element up the top as well. No, that's too bright. What's this little one that we've got here? They're nice because they're nice and soft. Don't want to obliterate my little bunnies. No, I don't think I need that sort of a glitzy glamminess there. I've got on my little braids, on my handmade little cards, I've got this one, but I think that's a bit too bright and vibrant, but I wouldn't mind looking at where I could use a little bit of this. Oops, let's just get this layered where we want it. So I'll have that coming over like that, that coming up there, like that. Something like that. So the only other possibility would be, but I just think that's going to be too much competition. I don't think I need to have a heap of bling on here. I think while I like to have embellishment, I don't want to go overboard, because I think I can add just some sweet little beading sort of in there, some sweet beads if I go with this. Again, do some little beaded pieces across here, some thread painting maybe of the leaves and a little bit of the flowers. And as I say, I'm really glad I hadn't gone and done all my sort of detailed cantha stitching or seed stitching, because now if I go with this design, I'll be able to see where I actually want to do it. Like I can do some cantha stitching across here. I can do some little French knots, for example, or beads across there, some thread painting here. So it's starting to come together. Let me just have a look what else I've got. I've got this little heart, but it's almost a bit more apricot and green. Not sure. Don't think there's really going to be a place for that on here. Just having a look what else I haven't used that I had out on my little embellishment tray. Don't think I need that one because it's more reds than greens. I didn't work out where I could use this, did I? Unless I could put some of it along the middle of the lace, lay a little trim upon trim. That's a possibility. Would add a bit of visual interest as well if I had that sitting across that trim. Let's take a bit. I'll just put my little trim card away over here. Keep them next to my desk so they're easy to grab. I have other little embroideries, little doilies and other bits that I can cut out. I've got cross stitches, but they strike me as a little bit too on the bright side. I do have some other lovely, just smaller little embellishments. In fact, I need to get this clipped in place, don't I? Do that first. Sometimes hard to remember which way you were going to layer things, but you kind of work it out when you're stitching. Ouch, trying to prick myself again. Okay, so that's a start of the embellishing. I think that's probably enough embellishment to start with. It's just whether I want anything else here. Would I want something coming up from there, coming across? That could work. Again, I can always take off if I think it's a bit too much. It almost looks like it's a flower coming out from that little vining piece coming up. And again, I think I'll do some nice little thread painting and some seed stitching into this, and I'll do a little bit of simple thread outlining of those pieces as well. And I think that will be quite embellished enough. And round here I think I'll just do some stitching to enhance the design, and I can come back to this area as to whether I think it needs anything else. Maybe it will end up having something like something from this design coming in, but I don't know yet. Or we could have something like this lovely little scarrick. Again, that goes quite nicely with the slightly more, it's not fully white, it's sort of off-white, off-pinky colour. Something like that could go there. Although I do quite like this fabric as well, and it could just be nice maybe to do some cantha stitching there, so it has some cantha stitching on it. So I'll wait for now, I can always add in later. So hopefully that's given you a good idea of where I'm heading with my embellishment, and we've got about 15 minutes to have a little play with, let me just put these aside to keep them safe. Just going to decant my little embellishment tray and put that to the... Oh, that one could have been nice as well. Do you do that as well? Find things on your desk after you've finished decorating and you think, oh, I like that one. Right. So let's grab our fabric, not our fabrics, our wools. So I'm using Appleton wools. And what I've done here is done my thread painting of this little rose. Might just switch another light on as well because it is getting a little bit darker here. Let me just see if this makes it a bit brighter. I think that should be a bit brighter for you. It's the evening here, so the sun is going down. So I use my bigger needle. So what I do with my thread painting, whether I'm using cottons or embroidery floss or silks, or in this case Appleton wools, is I work out how many colours there are in the design. So there's a sort of a shadowy, quite darky colour here. So I guess I can use this one for that. And then there's a next darker red, reddy pink there, and then there's a lighter pinky here, and then there's a lightest pink there. Now I don't know if that's too much of a graduation down, so I'm just going to see what else I've got in the way of colours. Now that's probably a bit too on the orange side. I do also have this one, which is I think that's what I used over here. Yes, so that's what I used there, which is almost has a bit of a purpley tone in it, but that could work down quite nicely. So let's start with our very darkest one, and it's just about thinking which direction you put the stitches in. What I did on this little rose was around the outsides. I did some little curved anchored down stitches, almost couch down stitches to get the curves, and even did a few little over stitches over on the surface of the fabric to get some nice curved lines. So you just kind of work your thread in whatever way you need to get the shape that you do, but most of it is little long and short stitches, but I do sometimes couch down the stitches to get a bit of curvature even when I'm doing the little petal shapes. So I might bring you down a bit. Close your eyes if you don't like being lowered. And we will stitch. Oops. And so it's good that I'm doing my pouch in two different sections because I don't need to worry about this going through to the front, because this back bit will be sandwiched between the two layers of my pouch. So I was just chopping off the end left from the... So I'm basically just working in the darkest area of the flower where the lines come down and just putting in stitches to cover that area. So it really is thread painting. Now you don't always have to cover the entire flower as I did here. You can sometimes just do some more sort of outliney stitches. That I may well end up doing that on here. I'll just see how it looks as it evolves. So usually I start with the darkest first and then gradually work out to the lighter, and sometimes once you get to the lightest you might want to just leave that unstitched. Generally the darker will be starting to kind of give you a sense of the shape of the flower, I guess, the structure. So Appleton wools are different to tapestry wools, which are thicker. So the Appleton's great for sort of more delicate thread painting, or you can just use regular cotton. That's what I often use for my more sketchy style thread painting, and it gives a lovely effect. You can see that in some of my other videos, like my recent Stitchery swap video. the square I made for the lovely Juicy. Sending you sunshine, Juicy. I don't know if it's cooled down. I imagine by now it would be cooling down a fair bit where you are. But you're probably relieved by that after a hot, hot summer. So this is where I'm couching it down. So I'm putting an extra stitch in to hold the thread at a bit of a curvature, if you can see there. So I've managed to get a curve by just couching down the thread. And you can also do a longer stitch because you're going to couch it down as well. So I'm going to do that again. I've done my longer stitch, left it loose, and then I'm going to pop up and hold the stitch in place and couch it down by going back down into the same hole where I just popped up, and it will put a little cross stitch over it. Well, not a cross, a little over stitch that will hold it in place. And I try to just sort of go to the next closest point when I'm doing my stitches, so I don't waste a lot of the wool on the back of the fabric, because the Appleton wools can be expensive. I like to buy mine second hand from Purveyor of Reclaimed Textiles. She often sells bundles of Appleton wool, so it's a great way to build up your collection, particularly if you're in Australia. But you never know, you might find them on your local sort of trade sites or Facebook Marketplace or other type sites. So at this stage, don't stress if you're kind of looking at it going, and when you're working on it yourself thinking, oh, it's a bit of an ugly duckling. It will always go through its ugly duckling stage, and then it will just start to come together. So as long as you're following the sort of the colours in the design, it will end up looking good, I promise you. I'm going to do another little couched one because I want that little curvature effect. I'll just add another stitch in here, take it back to there, add another stitch in, bring it out from there. And then as you can see, there's also these darker areas out here, so I'll just, while I've got thread in, I'll use that up out here. One out there. So again, just following that darker sort of shaded line. And in the actual design, it's more of a purpley blacky sort of colour, but more purpley bluey colour probably. But I'm just using this pinky, darker pinky colour because I think that will give enough of a shaded effect. As you can see, this one's more of the shape of the sort of where the petal is creating a shadow, so I'm going to actually do that as a little couched stitch. So I'll just do a loose loop and then I'll pop up at one point where I want it to come out a bit and sit out on a curve. So I'm going to catch that thread and couch that down by going back through the same hole and hold that down, and then do another little curvy bit out here as well. Couch that down there. And then this was before, and I think I'll do it in here, where I'll pop up again and I'll then make sure I don't unthread my needle. I'll then just wrap my thread, so I'm passing my needle under the stitches I've got here and just doing some little wrapping stitches around it which again will just help to create a nice little line, curved line there. And so yeah, I could continue over and do those, but I won't, because I want to show you before we finish up just the next colour going on. We won't be able to finish it all in this session. If you're interested, let me know and we can come back and finish it together in another video. Because we've got plenty of time for this project, so I don't have to rush. So next colour would be this one, which is only just marginally, I don't even know, yeah, you can see it I think on the video. It's not hugely different, but it's just that little bit of difference. Like I did use the two different colours in there, which you might not be able to immediately see, but it just helps to add interest. Have to excuse my slightly dirty fingers. I've been doing a bunch of gardening. Got this week off from work, so I've been spending the mornings doing work on a house, which we are getting ready to hopefully rent out this year. But it's been nice to spend the afternoons crafting and watching other crafty videos, watching the lovely Annie Claxton with her next colour video, so check that out if you're after another fun stitchy project, Colour Inspirations. It's a very playful project, which is exactly what I didn't know I needed, but I absolutely needed it, and it's been just so lovely to play with colour and whatever medium you want to work in. I'm working with fabric and stitch, and it's just been so freeing and just the best energy. And he just brings such fun to her projects, but just such thoughtfulness as well. I'll include a link in the description if you do want to go and check out Annie's Colour Inspirations project, or indeed her channel, because she does fabulous things. So again, I'm doing some of those curving stitches where I pop up back through the thread, the loop of the thread, and use that to just anchor my stitch down so that it curves. And so I'm just really working out and now working in this next darker coloured section and just putting in long stitches for the most part, unless there is anywhere where I want to have more of a sort of a curve going around. But most of these I think are just going to be long and short stitches following the design. Again, I think I'll do another little curvy one there. The curves just help to give that sense of the petals, I think, and that's the way that the fabric sort of print is going as well. So I just sort of pop out from where the stitches already are, which just helps to give that long and short interspersed effect so that the stitches are all sort of melded into each other. And it's just working out which direction the design is going at any point. And as I say, popping your needle down and back up again as close to as possible, so you're not wasting that much thread on the back by moving around. So here I'll pop up close to where I went down to do the next stitch. And I'll come back up from there. And I think we're just about at time, so I won't do too much more. I'll just finish this one off here. Do stitch back into here, and it doesn't even matter if you overlap them at all, but as you can see, we're starting to get a lovely effect of the underside of the flower. And then when I come to do these bits, that's where I will probably, because it's the petal sort of turned over, that's where I'll employ some of these more curving sort of strokes to pick up where the light is catching the turn of the flower. And I'll probably, I think I'll thread paint the stems and the leaves of these upper flowers as well. And then, as you remember, the pouch will sort of, cover up to about there. So I don't think I'm going to thread paint this one because I don't want anything that's going to catch on the things in the pocket. But these will be nice textural elements. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you are excited about where we're heading with this project, and that you're enjoying yours if you're working on it, or you're taking some inspiration from what I'm doing. I'll leave this sort of piece overnight to percolate, to make sure I'm happy with the sort of the elements before I start stitching it down, and I'll be sure to share it with you as I work on it. So thanks so much, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.